Hi, Nico. Jindo's on his way.
Marco's supposed to be coming. Hi. How are you today?
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks for getting up early.
Managed to do it.
Everybody here okay? How's the doggy doing, Shinshi? So-so?
So far, all the news has been mostly positive. She has to stay in the hospital another day or so. She had some mild complications, so we didn't get to bring her home today, but hopefully tomorrow.
Okay, and the kitty, okay? How's the kitty? Okay.
He wants to go out.
Okay. She wants to go out, me too. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Spring is in the air here. Oh, it's beautiful bicycle weather. I think I'm trying to get the kids out of the house for a bicycle ride today. It's just a lovely, lovely day after Zazen. Good to see all of you from so many places, so many friendly faces. Lovely. Today we look at the second of the mysterious talks. It's even more mysterious. Even more mysterious. The mystery builds. And John is here. We got some folks on the way. They may come during our ceremony. And you are all here, so let's go. I'm the one who's a little late today, actually. If you've been here before, you know what to do. And if it's your first time, just follow along. Who's my Eno today? Oh, Shinshi, good. With all that's going on, you made it to be Eno. That's lovely. That's the spirit. Oh, and let's see. Okay. Let me get a little ready here. 1 second.
Makahanya Haramita Shingu Kanji Zaibo Setsu Gyojin Hanya Haramita Jishoken Onkai Kudoi Saiku Yaku Sharishi Shiki Fuiku Kufu Shiki Shiki Sokuze Kuku sokuze shiki ju sogyo shiki yaku bunyo ze sharishi ze shohoku sofu shofu matsufu kufu jofu zofu genze koku chumu shikimu jusogyo shiki mugen nibize shinnimu shiki shoko misoku homugen kainai shimui shiki kai mumu myoyaku mumu myojin nai shimuro shiyakumuro shi jinmu kushu metsudomuchi yakumu tokui musho toko bodai sat ta e nanya bhara mita ocean mukege komu kufu onri isai tendo muso kugyo ne hansaze shobutsu e hanya haramita kotoku wa nokuta rasan yaku san bodai ko Chihanya haramita ze daijin shu ze daimyo shu ze mu shoshu ze mu toto shu nojo isai kushin Jitsu Fukoko Setsu Hanya Haramita Shu Soku Setsu Shu Watsu Gyate Gyate Hara Gyate Hara So Gyate Boji Swaka Hanya Shinyu. The identity of relative and absolute. The mind of the great sage of India is intimately conveyed west and east, while human faculties are both wise or dull. In the way there are no northern or southern ancestors. The subtle source shines clear in the light, the branching streams flow in the dark. To be attached to things is primordially illusion. To encounter the absolute is not yet enlightenment. All spheres, every sense and field, intermingle even as they shine alone, interacting even as they merge, yet keeping their places in expressions of their own. Sights differ primarily in shape and character, and sounds in harsh or soothing tones. The dark makes all words one. The brightness distinguishes good and bad phrases. The four elements return to their true nature as a child turns to its mother. Fire is hot, water is wet, wind moves and the earth is dense. Eye and form, ear and sound, nose and smell, tongue and taste, the sweet and sour, each independent of the other, like leaves that come from the same root. And though leaves and root must go back to the source, both root and leaves have their own uses. Light is also darkness, but do not think of it as darkness. Darkness is light, but do not see it as light. Light and darkness are not one, not two, like 1 foot before and 1 foot behind in walking. Each thing has its own being, which is not different from its place and function. The relative fits the absolute as a box and its lid. The absolute meets the relative, like two arrow points that touch in midair. Hearing this, simply perceive what is. Make no criterion. If you do not see the way, you do not see it even as you walk upon it. Walking forward in the way, you draw no nearer, progress no further. One who fails to see this truth is mountains and rivers away. Listen, those who would perceive this subtle matter. Live well your time by night and day. Buddha nature pervades the whole universe, reality existing right here now. In reciting the heart of the perfection of Great Wisdom Sutra and the identity of relative and absolute, we dedicate our sincere efforts to Shakyamuni Buddha, Honored One, the historical Buddha and teacher, and to those ancestral teachers, Eihei Dogen, Honored One, Soji Keizan, Honored One, all successive Honored Ones up until Zuigako Rempo, Honored One, and Gudo Wafu, Honored One, and to all other Honored Ones throughout history, same yet diverse Honored Ones, whose names have been forgotten or left unsaid. We also dedicate these efforts to the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to all awakened ones and teachers in all places and times. We especially seek tranquility and well-being for all creatures now suffering or ill in health. May they be serene through all their ills. May their lives be at peace and wisdom pervade the darkness of ignorance. We dedicate our hopes and aspirations to all victims of war and violence and natural events, to the injured and to all families touched by these tragedies, to the healing of hatred in all countries and among all peoples, to the wisdom and compassion of our world leaders, to the peace of the world and harmony of all beings. Thus let the harmful effects of words, thoughts, and actions be dispelled, and compassion bloom in perpetual spring. May we all realize and live the enlightened way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all Bodhisattvas, Mahasattvas, Maha, Prajna, Paramita.
Zazen? Kinhin. Put your phone there, Zazen. Put your phone away there, Zazen. Just kind of meditation. Not here. Forget time. Forget time. Okay. Also, don't be too proud. If your legs are still bothering you, Mr. Physiologist, sit chair style like John and me. Just a few seconds. They come back online. So you're literally the expert, so you're to be the festival conference. So it's like to get back. A conference more important than here? What time you have to leave? 9:20. Okay, thanks for coming today. In that case, you can look at your phone. Check that.
Yeah, I'm glad you are as well. So, it was funny in the end. Yeah, go ahead.
Zazen? Kinhin. will have a talk, followed by Zazen. I always say, make yourself comfortable. You may sit Zazen during the talk, or you may have some tea. You may do anything except sleep and check your phone. Well, not anything except sleep and check your phone. There are other things you can't do too. I won't name them, but you know what I mean. Hey, Bjorn, were you there before? You just showing up? You're here? I didn't see you. All right. Shinshibi, we have the verse to open the sutras.
Certainly. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered but rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered but rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning. The Dharma, incomparably profound and infinitely subtle, is always encountered but rarely perceived. Now we see, hear, receive, and maintain this. May we all realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
That was lovely, Shinchi. Your third verse especially sent chills up my back. That was lovely. Today we continue with the mysterious talks, or the talks of unfathomable depth by Master Tongan Changcha. And this is the second one. But I wouldn't look at these as a sequence. These are approaching our practice and truth from different perspectives, different angles, and they're all incredibly wonderful, which is why they were forgotten for a couple of hundred years. And you might say, if they're so wonderful, Jundo, why were they forgotten for a couple of hundred years after being so popular in the Zen world? And I have a couple of ideas about that, but basically it's like any meme or trend. There are a lot of wonderful things that were popular, let's say, in America in the 1920s or 1950s, and at the time they were just the cat's meow. Who here still got a hula hoop? Okay, you know what I mean. But they go out of fashion. Who had a hula hoop? Okay. So a lot of great songs from the times, and a lot of musicians, a lot of books and authors that were incredibly profound. And there's so much in Zen, so much literature and so many teachings and great teachers that things tend to drift away. But fortunately, they can be rediscovered, and that's what has happened with Master Tongan Changcha. Now, one of his cautions is, we'll see today, don't over-explain Zen. And that's what I'm at risk of doing here, because we'll see that over-explaining is bad, but also not explaining anything is also bad. Another thing that's bad is when I attempt to save ink in my printer and make the font so small that I can barely see this. But we're going to begin with the scholar, Dr. Narag's comment on this section, because, you know, in the old days, they may not have explained everything, but actually a little explaining really is good, especially when a scholar knows what they're talking about. Now, I actually disagree with a few things, and some of the other priests I've heard comment on this. You don't have to exactly have the perspective of Dr. Narag, but I think it's basically right on. Having denied that an empty mind is the goal of Buddhist practice, the author next denies that the enlightened mind is the result of achievement. We're going to look at this. So it's not that the empty mind is the goal, and it's also not the goal, and it's also not the result of achievement. These are my words, which is what we achieve, which only makes sense to us Zen folks. We achieve this unachievable thing. And I'll give you an example, a very good one, about exactly what that means, and then it's not so hard to understand. Continuing with the good doctor, the verse specifically denies the validity of step-by-step graded progress toward awakening, represented by the 42 ranks from Bodhisattva to Buddha. Since these intermediate ranks have not yet reached real insight, they have no real value. Instead, the Dharma is realized, snapping fingers, instantaneously, in a manner incomprehensible to ordinary human thought. Until I explain it again, you'll get it in a second. It's a little tricky, but you'll see what they're about here. But anyway, continuing with the doctor, the central contrast in this verse is between the golden carp, a metaphor for a brilliant figure with excessive abilities, and the stone horse. Sounds like a band from the 60s, the Stone Horses. Great name. All right, the stone horse, a metaphor for a figure of utmost simplicity who lacks ambition. Counterintuitively, it is the stone horse that manages to make the ultimate leap. The last two lines of the verse criticize teachings that attempt, number one, to explain the Dharma in every detail, something I'm risking doing right here, but I'll tell you why I hope I'm not, and also why a little explaining is necessary. In summary, the mind of the enlightened ones, the name of this passage, is thus a rejection of approaches to Buddhism that are based on concepts of, number one, empty mind, number two, on stepwise achievement, and number three, on detailed total, I never can say this word, exegesis, explanations. Don't explain too much, all right? There are some other little pet peeves I have about Zen practice, people's misunderstandings, which are not covered today. I leave them for another time. I'll just mention them briefly. People who are too much about this is just being in the moment and having a simple mind. It's a little more than that, as we're going to see. Our studies today actually say that there's something very profound, mysterious in this sense to realize. It's not just about being in the moment, though that's a good thing. And some people say, oh, if you just sit Zazen, there's nothing to explain. Just sit. Shh. Any explanation takes you away from it, which is true in a sense, but also a little explaining is necessary, because otherwise there's a difference between just sitting and just sitting there. So the mysterious talks by the Soto master Tongan Changcha were meant to convey some of these misconceptions. Let's see what he has to say today. This section is called The Mind of the Enlightened Ones, which means it's your mind, too, is the same as their mind when this is realized. Number one, this mind is like emptiness, but it isn't empty. When you realize emptiness, shall we say, the hard borders of all separate things, including yourself and everything that's not yourself, the rest of the world, the stars, the trees, Tensei and Seikon, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas. When all that softens and floats away, my favorite expression that you hear at least once a day is something like the flowing wholeness. I like the flowing part because it nails it down that it's not a thing, it's an ongoing. It's an ongoing. And we are this ongoing, something like that. And some people think that the point of this practice is to realize this emptiness in which all the delusions of this world, all this image of separate things, broken pieces, you and me, drops away. And when we realize this, we're enlightened. Which is kind of true, we got to realize this. But it's not empty because it's also this world of all the broken pieces and mountains and stars and Seikon and Tensei and the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and all of it. You see? So emptiness is not empty, it's full. It's full of everything. You may think I'm full of it, but I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. It's really the fullness of all things. And I mean everything. Nothing in life, even the parts we don't like, the beautiful parts, the sick dogs and sick kitties, the stubbed toes, the ups and downs. It's all of it. This emptiness is not empty. So number one, his caution is, the mind is like emptiness, but don't get stuck there. It isn't empty. Then he says, but how could the unfathomable function? He also uses this word function because he doesn't want to say it's a thing. A function, a process, an ongoing. That everything's moving, man. How could the dance, I sometimes say, how could this unfathomable dance ever degenerate to being the result of achievement? The Bodhisattvas at the 3 stages of wisdom have still not clarified this. How can the higher ranks of Bodhisattvas ever reach it? And then people say, well, if there's nothing to achieve, what are we doing here? And even if the great Bodhisattvas in all their stages can't reach this, can't clarify this, what are we doing? Wasting our time. And that is because the statement is misunderstood. First off, let me explain about these bodhisattvas and their stages. The stages are sometimes called the bhumis, bodhisattva bhumis. And there's different ones. I put a list of 10. I put it on the web, but as you can see, there's a list of 46. What is this? Well, little digression. When the Buddha first started teaching and he opened his mouth, it was, if you read the early suttas, people were becoming arhats and getting it right away. Oh, you got it. These 3 guys are now arhats, and those 2 guys are now arhats. And it seems that the original teachings were also perhaps, like our Zen way, very subtle, but very, in a sense, very simple. And then what often happens in religion is the goal somehow became further and further away, grander, more distant. The idea of becoming a Buddha became something ever more unattainable by ordinary mortals, taking a lifetime, taking countless lifetimes, involving subtle stages of perfections, and not only that, perfections of perfections, ever more. Why? This is what the religious mind does when it has too much time on its hands. People thought, well, the Buddha, he's not just a man in India, there's something grand here. And when it's grand, it must be something incredibly grand, incredibly otherworldly, and we have to, it takes subtle steps to get there. It's not something that can be done overnight in an instant. Cutting to the chase, the Zen folks said, yes, it can. Yeah, yes, it can. But anyway, and then, our Buddhists, we love lists. So one guy said, I'll make a list of the 5 steps to get there. And the other guy said, 5, I got 10. And the other guy said 46. They would have kept going, So what are some of these stages of the bhumis? I'll just read some of this list. They're incredibly subtle. It's almost as if one guy took a simple thing like wisdom or insight, and then they made subcategories. The first bhumi is in which one rejoices in realizing a partial aspect of the truth. And we'll go to the 6th bhumi, in which the supreme wisdom begins to manifest. Wait a second, you got to get up to number 6. He's already a 6th level bodhisattva, and it's just starting to manifest. What is this? And then we go to number 7, in which one rises above the states of the 2 vehicles. Okay, and then the 8th bhumi is one dwells firmly in the truth of the middle way and cannot be perturbed by anything. Well, that sounds good. You can't be perturbed by anything. We're done. No, we're not done. We got to keep going here, because we got number 9, in which one preaches the law freely and without restriction. And it goes on and on. Why? That's what the Zen masters asked. Why? Because it seems that this simple wisdom and insight doesn't have to be divided and categorized so. It really is right on our fingertips and the tip of our tongue, when we just realize it and taste it. So this is where I use my New York City example. Buddhist practice is something like being in Times Square looking for New York City. And fellow caveman says, I'll show you how to get to New York City. You have to go through different stages. And you have to ask, well, wait a second, if you're in Times Square, how do you get ever closer and closer to New York City? So when I go from 6th Street to 7th Street, I'm getting closer to New York. And some of us, said, oh, you're going to really get to New York. You got to keep working at it. Keep moving. Okay, I'm going to get up to Midtown. Now I'm getting closer to New York. And the Zen folk said, oh, I'm going to use it. In the old days, this is how my father talked. There was a New York accent. I think it's disappeared, but this is how my father talked. He'd go, you're looking for New York. This is New York. Okay? Hey, fella, you're in New York. Right? Like that. That's how my dad used to talk. Okay. Hey, yeah, uptown, downtown, east side, west side. Hey, Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx. I can't even do it. Or where I was actually raised in kind of outside New York in Yonkers. Okay? All New York. Right? Until I was about 8, 9 years old, we lived in New York. And the Zen folk said, open your eyes. You're in New York. You are New York. You're in New York. You're a New Yorker. You're in New York. You're the life of it, okay? It's not something you have to search for. And also, so this is why it cannot be attained. It just is. Something that just is, when you try to attain it, it becomes ever more distant. New York, where is it? Is it over there across the bridge, through the tunnel? No. Open your eyes, taste it on your tongue. It's not something to be attained. It's something to realize by opening your eyes. And it's not a dead thing. New York is not a frozen thing, too. You realize New York by living New York. You don't just stand there in Times Square. Now you realize, oh, everything's New York. Now I'm going to go to Broadway. Now I'm going to go uptown. Now I'm going to get on the subway, the D train. Now I'm going to go to Staten Island and over on the ferry to Long Island. I'm going to, everywhere I'm going, it's a living thing. New York. Enlightenment is like that too. It's not something you just realize is a stagnant thing. It's something you now realize has to be lived. Okay? It was always here and needs to be lived. This is why even the great bodhisattvas can't clarify it. There's nothing to clarify. There's nothing to reach. You're there. It's always there. It's not the result of achievement, you see, like that. And realizing that this cannot be achieved because it just is what is the greatest achievement, you see. Now, next we go into this whole thing with the golden carp and the stone horse. And then I gotta say, why do these guys talk like this? You know, I'm very lucky. I got John here. He's over my shoulder. Give a wave, John.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, okay. He's an Asian studies scholar, a very serious one. So I hope he will confirm what I say. Why didn't the Zen folks in the old days just come out and said, you know, just say it? What's with all these weird allusions to golden fish? And okay, there's a few reasons for this. Number one, as you can tell, there are things here that when you say them straight, it's hard to convey. I got to use my New York thing, right, to kind of get it across. When you're talking about something that kind of bends ordinary logic, that you cannot attain, for example, what is already here, that's why even bodhisattvas can't reach it, because there's nothing to reach like that. It's difficult to use it with normal grammar forms. For example, normal grammar forms have a subject and object, and we're just turning subject and object inside out. So normal speech sometimes isn't suitable. But there's another reason, and that's because of the culture these people grew up in. Most of the Zen folks came from very erudite society in China and Japan too, for most of them, in which educated people spoke like this. They made poetic references and little puns and little references that only the other elite people who had studied all these famous poetic texts and Confucian references, they'd get it, you see. In Taoism, there was this whole thing of word games. Let's say, what is it? Being ironic, I think. You know, hipsters are ironic. I think, wait a second, I'm so old. The hipsters are no longer hip anymore. That's an old thing right now. So they're gone. So even to be a hipster is now hip, not hip. It's very confusing. But the irony was very big here. Irony, we're going to see a koan here. It's just irony. That's how they showed, they communicated with their fellow educated folks. Unfortunately, this was not something, to speak this way, was not speaking to kind of the peasants. It was speaking to the people who shared your culture and education, knew all these poems and references, and the slang. A lot of these weird things are just slang that we don't know 1,000 years later. For example, if I use references to, I'm going to show how old I am, to bling bling, or well, my daughter, she's Gen Alpha here, so I tried to impress her the other day, and I said, you know, that guy's Riz, and she said, oh, that's so last year. Nobody says Riz anymore. Okay, you know, whatever it is. By the time I do it, if I get some of her slang, by the way, by the time I get the slang, she says we got to change it, you know, because so. But anyway, a lot of this was just, you know, if you say, oh, the golden fish, everyone get, oh yeah, golden fish. I get that. It was like, you know, skaboodle or whatever they say. You get what I'm saying? It's not skaboodle. You know what I'm saying. Maybe they say skaboodle now and I'm just ahead of the curve. I don't know. But anyway, so we have this passage here. The golden carp that has passed through the net remains trapped in the water. You would think the fish that gets out of the net, and maybe who realizes emptiness, is now trapped in the free water. How can they be trapped in freedom? But the stone horse, still on the way, leaves its sand cage suddenly. So maybe the golden carp, for example, is the overeducated Buddhist who is overly philosophical about these things. And even if they have a sense of emptiness and being free, they're still trapped until they can actually swim and realize this in the complicated world. And the stone horse, the simple one, the dull one, gets out of it suddenly. The sand cage is a cage literally made of sand, so flimsy, you know, it's literally just falls apart. It's just a cage made of sand. And the stone horse is suddenly free. I think it's saying something like, if you make this overly complicated and you're too smart about it, like the guys who make the lists of all the bodhisattvas, you miss the point. But if you're the simpleton, like the Zen master, who just says, it's on my fingertips and the tip of my tongue, I touch it, I taste it, I am it. If you're that simple, all the boomies are realized. I've gotten into a fight, you know, as Buddhist fight, you know, a bowing. I meant not a fight. I got into a debate with more traditional Buddhists. And they were arguing about the boomies. What's the seventh boomy? What's the eighth boomy? And I said, in Zen, in a moment of Zazen, we leap through all the boomies at once. They didn't like that. They did not like that. They kicked me out of that. That's why I keep getting asked to leave various Buddhist groups with traditional Buddhists, because they said, the Zen guys, man, we can't take it. We're here with all the boomies and getting reborn and going to be bodhisattvas and trying to realize this. And you come and you say you sit Zazen for a moment and all the boomies are realized. How dare you? That's why in the Buddhist world, we Zen guys are considered, you know, kind of troublemakers. But that's true. When we sit a moment of Zazen, like the stone horse, the simpleton, as opposed to the golden carp, the cage made of sand just drops away and we are free. And then we can swim or gallop anywhere. Galloping anywhere in New York City, swimming anywhere in the Hudson River, New York, like that. Now there is a koan that the golden carp is referenced. It's a nice one. I'm going to read it. Master Shan Sheng, I think just the student asked, Master Xiao Feng, what does the golden scaled fish that goes through the net eat? Okay, so the golden scaled fish has escaped. What does it eat? How does it survive? How does it live? And Shan Feng said, I will tell you after you have come out of the net. I guess implying that if you're asking that question and if you think it's far away, something to be escaped, then you are not yourself out of the net. Shan Sheng apparently didn't like that and said to Chef Feng, hey, you're the abbot of this temple, the teacher of 1,500 monks, big shot, and you can't say a turning word? You can't say something that really expresses it? And Chef Feng says, this old man is busy with abbot's matters. Now that, again, a turning word is something that really expresses it. What might this mean? Was he saying, oh, I'm sorry, stop asking me your stupid questions. I got to run this temple. Probably not, or they wouldn't have kept this koan alive for centuries upon centuries. If he was saying that running this temple and all the activities and all of life is free and is the carp swimming, that, I think, is closer to it. If he wanted to say a turning word about the carp, and he turned and he went, the green toad stands upon the silver mountain. How's that? No, that's fake Zen talk. But he said, express it. He said, I got to run this temple. That's all you need to know. Living in New York City, I got to live in New York City. I'm running this temple. All your activities, when you realize that, all your activities, I'm looking at all of you, your medical school there, Seiko, and Seikon, editing my book, thank you, and let's see, Tensei, your research, and Shinkon, all you do, it's all living in New York. It's all the great dance when we realize it. Now about these stages, I actually think there's a little something to it, in the sense that I think we do feel this more or less at different times. I think another misunderstanding about Zen is that when you get it, it's got, and you're enlightened. The end. At least it's not true for me. And I had a good example this week. And I told the story to John a bit. I've told some of my priests, okay? I'm sorry to say you may be wasting your time, because I apparently am not a bodhisattva in the 9th or 10th stage. I'm apparently, okay, I'm sorry. So what happened about a week ago, one of these things, I go to the doctor, I got a cough, he takes an x-ray, he looks at the thing, he goes, yeah, your cough is fine. What is that? We better look at what? Look, there's something there. We run another test, okay. And then he said, okay, we're gonna do the ultrasound. And they do the ultrasound, but then the doctor said, okay, listen, you're too fat. Okay, the ultrasound. Dr. Sato is laughing at me there. Okay, so anyway, this is what doctors do. So we're gonna do an MRI. Okay, and you get the MRI. He said it's probably nothing. It's probably nothing. Just, this is Japan. It cost me, by the way, the MRI cost me $50 US. Okay, all right. Anyway, get the MRI, and then they say, okay, we got the MRI. How was it? It was great. We got the results. We'll tell you in a week. A week? What? Just tell me. No, we'll get back to you in a week. Okay, so I got to wait a week. Now what happens is, this is where I went through all the 9 stages of the Bodhisattva and being a human being. One moment, I would wake up and I would go, I hope I'm really not very sick here, and I don't want to have pancreatic cancer, and I don't want to, I'm basically, you have to understand, I went into Zen because I'm basically Woody Allen inside. Woody Allen, not that part of Woody Allen. I mean Woody Allen, the neurotic, oh my God, everything is, I think it's cancer. I think everything. I'm going to tell you a bad doctor joke, Sato. This is a good. Old lady goes to the doctor and she says, doctor, I got this thing on my neck. I think it's cancer. He looks and he goes, no, you're fine. Go away. 3 weeks later, she comes back. Doctor, I got a chest pain. I think it's my heart. He does a test. He goes, no, your heart's fine. Mrs. Schwartz, go away. A month later, she comes back. She says, I got a headache. I think it's a brain tumor. He looks. They take every test. You're fine. 2 weeks later, she comes back and she says, I got this other thing here. I think it's cancer. They do a test. It is cancer. And she says, I told you. Okay, so you get the joke? Eventually, she was right. I told you. Okay, so This is me. Everything, I'm going through all the worst case scenarios. And then a second later, death is no concern whatsoever. I am totally at peace. Truly profound what this practice is. I would be okay with it. That's the only way I could describe. Whatever would be, I'm okay with it. And then sometimes, I had this before when I actually had cancer, I would actually have the fear and be fearless at once. In the most profound sense. I can only say in the most profound sense. It literally didn't matter. I was done and it was fine. And then a minute later, I'm back to Woody Allen. This was my week. Okay? This is who I am. Okay? Because I'm a human being, right here in the brainstem, fear of death is wired into us. And I don't care what they say about how the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas progressed. I bet you if you grabbed the Buddha and held him by his feet over a cliff, he'd sweat a little. So that was my week. Now, end of story. This is the funny part. So I go to the doctor finally on that. I'm fine, by the way. Let me get to the cut to the chase. I'm fine. Okay? For now. You know, what I mean for now is I could get hit by a bus next week. But I mean for now, I'm fine. But I go to the doctor. And this is what Japanese doctors do. Sato, you may really think this is funny. He puts the thing on the screen and he's looking at it. And he goes, yeah, that's okay, yeah. But very bad, huh? There's no escape. What? I mean, the destruction, and it's hopeless. What? He looks at me, he goes, Trump, Iran. He's talking to me about Trump. He's looking at my x-ray and talking to me about Trump going, I don't know what this situation is. For a second there, I'm going, what? No, he said, no, your test is fine. The radiologist said there's nothing. You're good. Go. Okay? This is my doctor. Okay? I gave him a hug and I left. So, that's my week. Why? Because I think we do go through this at various stages from this practice. And if you're, one of the things to realize is, if you wake up in the morning and you get up on the wrong side of the bed, or you're a little afraid, or you're a little sad, or you're a little grieved, the first thing that comes to the average Zen practitioner's mind is the following. I'm bad at this. I'm a Zen failure. David Chapman, with me with names. David Chapman was the name, right? Passed away. He wrote a book, a wonderful book called Zen Failure in Japan, and he was a great Zen success. It was wisdom. You're not a failure, you're human. The point of this practice is not to get to be the perfect 9th or 10th or 15th or 47th or 200th stage bodhisattva. It's to realize that you're human and you're always, sometimes you realize you're in New York more than other days. Sometimes you're at home in the Big Apple, and sometimes you want to get out of town, okay? You can't take it anymore. You want to head up to Connecticut or something. Get out of here, okay? Whatever it is, you're not a Zen failure. You're a human being who realizes at different times, different depths of this practice. So the thing about the bodhisattvas with the different depths, there's a lot of truth there, okay? So anyway, let's get to the end of it. Why have the meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West explained in every detail? Again, this when they say the meaning of Bodhidharma coming from the West means, why have Zen, the meaning of Zen, explained to you in every detail? Don't ask about the coming from the West, nor the East. He explains to us. You need a little explaining, because this practice is so, nebulous, like formless and cloudless, that without a little direction, a little somebody trying to set you straight, you can drift off into bad directions. The teachers, fortunately, set us straight, or try to. And some do better jobs than others. I hope I'm not doing you a disservice today. But you got to explain something. As Katagiri Roshi said, you have to say something. But don't say too much. Let me get to the point. Back to New York. Suppose you wanted to know, what's New York? The way you realize New York is, friends, not by reading a map. Looking at a map of Manhattan is not going to tell you about New York very much. It'll tell you some things, like where the subway stops are, but that's about it. Describing New York is not going to do it. If I just sit here and go, New York is then Broadway kind of runs diagonally, and there are the theater district, and in the theater district there's these characters dressed up like Spider-Man and Elmo, and they chase you. If I just explain this, you can't begin to capture anything. All right? If I help you realize that you're in New York and now go live it, then I'm doing you a service, a good service. If I just over-explain things, I'm not. You cannot capture New York City by pondering it, philosophizing about it. You cannot even capture New York by singing about it. I'm going to really annoy Beyond. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving to. Okay, no. Okay. You cannot capture it even by singing about it. You capture New York by realizing you are there and living in New York City, and then getting on the train and going from Queens to Brooklyn, uptown, downtown, Central Park. Okay? That's how you realize it. So that's what they mean. Don't ask about Bodhidharmas coming from the West. Realize it. Okay? I think that about covers it for today. All right? Don't get lost in emptiness. It's not something you achieve. It's something you live and yeah. Keep it simple. Yeah, okay. And that's what I got. Any questions, complaints? Nothing? It's New York too. Nothing? You got nothing? Okay. Shinkong, yes.
Which way to Poughkeepsie?
I don't know the answer to that. Where is Poughkeepsie? It's upstate, right? Up there, upstate Poughkeepsie. Yes, Tensei.
Thank you for the excellent talk. It was very, appropriate this week. More of a comment than a question, which is a classic response, it seems, in meetings. But the saying not too little, but saying not too much is super important for learning too, when responding to a student's question. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little bit of that in there too. It's always a hard balance though. You're like, if I give you all the info, then you'll get it right, but you won't have learned anything. So yeah, thank you.
I would imagine for a biologist, which I think it's at least what you are, if you spend all the time in the books or the laboratory and you never go out and look at a plant, and actually see what nature's doing, then your education is faulty. But if you just spent all your time outside and never cracked a book, that's a problem too. Something like that.
I do a lot of field work and teach field courses, and I always try to get my indoor biologist colleagues to go do outdoor biology because it's good for them.
Some of them really do spend too much time inside looking at their microscope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Everybody's got their thing, so.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, B.
Thank you for the talk, and also thank you very much for singing. It's always fun for me. Tomorrow in the podcast, you will be auto-tuned. I need you to understand that you will be auto-tuned in the podcast. Okay. It's such a tricky thing, this not saying too much and diving into practice. Some folks have a tendency to think that we get rid of teaching altogether. But the subtlety of Zen practice, which to me is the wonderful thing, is that all of the teaching that's not said in words is embedded in the doing. It's in the practice that we do together. It's in the forms, in the life. It's all there if you know to look for it, and it does not need the words and the concepts. But when Bodhidharma came from India, he didn't just throw the teachings away. He showed how they were to be lived. And so nowadays folks think, oh, just throw the books away, sit. Well.
Biona is an excellent New York bus guide. He's the guy with the microphone on the double-decker bus taking us through town here. So, anybody else before we close up shop today? Bjorn's hinting that what? Tensei's
I think we
pointing.
had Ansho and
Ah,
Carolyn.
Ms. Olas.
Hi. Thank you so much for the talk. It was very refreshing. And I could actually relate to the part where you said sometimes, I'm surprised that you don't feel this way all the time, but sometimes you feel like it's everything is you understand everything, or it's all smooth sailing, and then other times it's like just a mess. And I'm still at that stage. But I wanted to ask a really basic question that I'm embarrassed to ask in front of all these people who have done so well,
We're,
which
we're,
is,
we're all bodhisattvas at the 0 stage, so please go ahead.
what would you say to someone who has trouble doing Zazen?
What do you say to someone who has trouble doing Zazen?
Yes.
Just sit in a chair. It doesn't have to be cross-legged. Find a nice balanced position and put it all down for a time. Think about it later. Feel equanimity for whatever is for a little while. Take a vacation from it all and keep it simple. And do that for a few minutes. It doesn't have to be for an hour. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes. If for a moment, a few moments during that sitting, you taste that simplicity we were talking about, that clarity, that light, then it's a very good Zazen. That's the whole thing. Don't make it complicated.
Thank you. That helps, I think.
Yeah, you don't have to be a bodhisattva at the 10th stage 24/7. Like, shall we chant our way out? Talking about auto-tune, Bjorn. You better get the auto-tune for this one too.
May the merits of these teachings penetrate into each thing in all places, so that we and every sentient being together may realize the Buddha's way. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, Maha Prajna Paramita.
Okay, thank you. And say, you got your quick, easy stretch ready for today? You've replaced our YouTube hokey pokey. We now just put it all on Seikon. Seikon's quick stretch. You got something?
Seikon wants to hokey pokey, but I'm not allowed to, so it's okay. I'm gonna say side stretches today because that's what I'm feeling.
Okay, side stretch, everyone. Side stretch. Side stretch.
And then whatever else you need.
Okay. We got a minute here, really. Just catch your breath, stretch. Good. I'm just going to sit quietly for a moment. The other thing about getting that kind of announcement from the doctor is you realize, Doc, I'm alive. I'm alive for another week. Your life is good. I immediately walk out of the doctor's office and return to all my stupid habits and forget about it. I'm just the same guy 5 minutes, taking it all for granted like that. We don't have to expect ourselves always to be in golden Buddhas. Okay. Shall we sit a little more zazen? Was that the thumb signal beyond? That was just the okay, right? Okay. We will have zazen and then somewhere in there a little bit of the metaverses. Let's sit. Wait a second. A bodhisattva in the ninth stage would not have done that. I just sat on my zafu. My zafu went flying across the room. I just complete. It's very dangerous up here. Okay. Try that again. Okay. We will now recite the metta verses. You can just listen, or you can chant with us. Let the feeling, though, fill you and flow through you and out into the world. Today we are going to chant, especially for people touched in many ways by war and violence. Some of us more directly than others, but we're all touched. So it's okay to begin with ourselves. I know that when I see the sad images from around the world, Ukraine, Gaza, Iran, many places, it touches and darkens my heart. So I'll begin with myself. You begin with yourself. May I be free of suffering. May I feel safe and still. May I be free of enmity. Enmity means hate, especially now. May I be loving, grateful, and kind. May I be healthy and at ease in all my ills. May I be at peace. Peace, man, embracing all conditions of life. Now for a loved one, some of them may also be affected indirectly, but some may have known war and violence in their lives. I'll chant for some relatives of mine who actually were refugees at one time. May they be free of suffering. May they feel safe and still. May they be free of enmity, especially after what was done to them. May they be loving, grateful, and kind. May they be healthy and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Now we can chant for a friend. I'll chant for a friend who has a son who is in the military and is involved in all this mess. May he be free of suffering, both of them. May they feel safe and still. May they be free of enmity. May they be loving, grateful, and kind. May they be healthy and out of harm's way, and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Now, strangers, let's make it thousands, millions of strangers, so many strangers who are touched directly by this. May they be free of suffering. May they feel safe and still. May they be free of enmity. May they remember to be loving, grateful, and kind. May they be healthy and safe and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Now let's chant for the war makers. If they knew peace, if they knew how to live together, we wouldn't be in this mess. May they be free of suffering. May they know what it is to be safe and still. May they be free of enmity. May they be loving, grateful, kind to each other. May they be healthy and at ease in all their ills. May they be at peace and make peace, embracing all conditions of life. And now for all sentient beings, may we all live together. May we be free of suffering. May we feel safe and still. May we be free of enmity. May we be loving, grateful, and kind. May we be healthy and at ease in all our ills. May we be at peace, embracing all conditions of life. Let's sit for a few more moments. We will now recite the verse of atonement and 4 vows.
All harmful acts, words, and thoughts ever committed by me since of old, on account of beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and mind, now I atone for them all. To save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable, to save all sentient beings, though beings numberless, to transform all delusions, though delusions inexhaustible, to perceive reality, though reality is boundless, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable.
Okay, everybody. Well, enjoy your time in New York and make it more beautiful. Beautify this city. Leave it a better place than when you found it. I'll see you guys around and love you all. See you guys. Peace. Thanks, John. See you guys. Bye bye. Thanks, B.